Alright, so we are doing a high gain amp blend day video for a number of reasons. One, because a couple people have been asking about the blending of these amps and also how to phase them, how we phase them. And then also we've got a couple of records coming up, some high gain stuff. So I want to just kind of get an idea of different combinations of sounds that I like and where they would be applicable. So we'll be using, this is a 71 Super Tremolo modded by Dave Friedman with 3 different modes: custom 45, brown eye, Harry Brown Eye, kind of like a Van Halen, James Hetfield kind of sounding Marshall, killer Marshall, diesel VH4. Again, probably like mainly just using channel 3. This is just going to be high gain stuff. I'm not going to use the Plexi. Rock Reverb 50, Revision 2 Uberschall, and dual Racto Mesa Boogie dual rectifier. Gonna experiment probably with some overdrive pedals in front of maybe the orange. Definitely the Racto, we've been using the OCD in front, and now we've been using the 10 band MXR EQ in line, and it really is killer. And that's it. And we're going to use my Les Paul Standard for everything, keep it consistent. Back in the tent, we've got 2 cabinets. We've got an 8 ohm dual rectifier cabinet with a 57 421 on it, all vintage 30s, and the other cabinet is a straight Bogner twin jet front loaded Uber cab, crisscrossed between G75s and vintage 30s, and a 57 will be on the vintage 30 and the 421 is on the G75. So, and everything's already phased back there, but I'm just going to kind of fire some stuff up and show you how we did it, and then we'll get on to some amp blends. Yeah! So we'll be using the Voodoo amp splitter, amp selector, to split out the to the 2 heads. That's a killer piece for $200, man, I'm telling you. I think it sounds great. And we're going to be using 4 Neves, a vintage Neve, a Brand Averill 1023, and then a stereo pair of the Brand Averill 1023 MPF. We're going to pop these guys at 300 ohms because it just sounds more evil that way. Alright, so this is about as unscientific as it gets. So we'll start with the Bogner cabinet right here. These first 2 guys here, 421 and 57, going into 2 Neves, and then this is the orange here. This is in no way a scientific comparison between heads, because man, the sound of cabinets is like the most drastic thing in a guitar sound, I think, in my opinion, more than the guitars, pickups, heads, anything. I mean, cabinets sound so completely 180 from each other, right? Isn't that weird? So anyway, here's the orange into the Bogner Uber cab. So what we're going to do here is we're going to check phase on it. So recording it, get a little tick going on a single note. Now what we want to do is see that the peak transients line up, which they should, because it's in a tent. We've already done this, and they do right there. You can see it. So now, yeah, there you go. It's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty much within a sample, most. So there you go. And then the transient comes down first and then up. So you'll see different amps will react differently, and I think it's speaker excursion. I'm not really sure, but we'll leave this here. We'll mute it, and then we will come here, and I'll show you how I did the rec cab. I mean the rec cab. This is the Marshall Super Tremolo. Harry Brown Eye high gain mode. And we're not recording at this loud a volume. We have the waveforms enlarged so you can see this, and you see this, and there you go. Pow. Bingo. Perfection. And these guys now are, we actually phased both cabinets too, to within the rectifier cabinet is 3 samples earlier than the Bogner cabinet. That was about the closest we could get it without like really pulling any of the mics too far back. So I mean, if you really wanted to geek out, you could even do a time adjuster on it, but I don't think you ever hear. But here's the trick. Now these so now these cabinets are in phase. The first cabinet is the orange. I mean the Bogner here with the orange in it. I'll open up now. This guy is in phase here, and then this is the director cabinet, and this guy is in phase. But let's see when we do them together. Here's when the party gets started, kids. Check it out. So here's both heads going. Now when we go to phase the whole thing and we look at it, check this out. And this matters big time. See how close it is? The bottom, it's actually it's showing even, it's like 1 sample off, basically. This is phased, and then these guys are phased. But check it out. This first batch are going down, and the second batch is going up. That's going to cause a problem. Now, and it's weird. It's like certain amps go up certain. The orange is always awkward, and I think it's speaker excursion. I'm not really sure, but basically, what you could do now is just pick whichever one you want to do, and you would come over to your preamp, and you would flip your phase. So I flipped the phase on the rectifier. So now we come here. Because if these two heads are going in different directions, that will sound really strange. And there you go. See, now they're all going down. These guys are in phase. These guys are in phase. They're off by about, if you come up here to where it says main, and you change this to samples, you can probably do this, I guess, in any DAW. Yeah, it's like 3 samples. The Bogner's 3 samples ahead. So you could put a 3 sample time adjuster on the Bogner if you really wanted to dork, but I don't think it really matters. You look at the second one here, where it peaks up here, and this is pretty spot on, close enough. But you don't go all. You go off of the first one, which is there, which that's good. That's perfect. And there they are. So does everybody kind of get the gist of that? So now we have 2 heads going through the amp splitter, and we have 2 mics per cabinet. Now each head is being treated completely different because, like I said, it has a different cabinet, and the Bogner cabinet at 16 ohms could not be any more different than the Recto cabinet at 8 ohms. The Recto cabinet at 8 ohms is very punchy and focused and cutting and kind of a little stealthier sounding, maybe a little brighter. The Bogner is more vintage, more big woody, kind of just it's a totally different sound. But anyway, so here is just the sound of this is the Marshall and the orange. Gotta always do a master fader too. chug it chugs. Because it was out of phase before. It was like, wow, wow, wow. It was like... And it's 1 p.m. on whatever day it is. And I just woke up. I slept for 12 hours. I've been... It's been so busy, and we got 2 sick babies. Alright, so here we go. Alright, now we're going to do we're going to do console multing. We'll fire this up and we'll meet you all back in a sec. Alright, so now we're going to mult, and how we do that is... Here's our 4 mics. This is the 421 for the Bogner cab, 57 for the Bogner cab, 421 for the Recto cab, and 57 for the Recto cab. And usually kind of set them about like that. And then I come out of the preamps. This will show the volume coming out of the preamps. Usually hit it till it's just about in the red. And that sounds pretty sweet. And the way I work it is I commit to the blend as I'm recording on the cabinet, but I don't blend the 2 cabinets. So if we're doing 2 amps, it's always two tracks. For a couple of reasons. One, I like to kind of mess with the blend sometimes within the song of the amps. So yeah. So at the end, you'll have, you know, your orange head would be track 1. And then your Marshall head would be track 1B, signifying that they're connected, giving you the same number. So you'll see here, this being the Bogner cabinet, and then this being the Recto cabinet. There it is. So now let's get some levels. Getting the levels going to the SSL. So you can see it kind of. That's pretty good right there. Maybe a touch hot on this first nave. So you're seeing the 4 of them there. 421, 57. 421, 57, and then they correlate right in here into Pro Tools. Sorry about that, poor cameraman action. That's it, man. That sounds pretty good already. And then you can kind of start to EQ the amps almost as like an ensemble. So it's not like you're not trying to get like the ultimate Marshall sound. You're trying to get the sound you hear in your head, or the sound that you at the moment seems appropriate for the song, with the combination of the 2 heads. So you may get more like low end out of the orange and more, you know, mid range out of the Marshall. That's both of them, and then you unplug the Marshall. That's the orange, and you unplug the orange. Which the Marshall's a little brighter than I normally would have it, but it kind of works because the orange is a little bit darker, but it kind of balances it, gives it a nice sound. And when I make, see how it sounds now? When I made the Marshall sound nicer, in my opinion, it made the blend not sound as good. The blend sounds better when the Marshall's a little brighter. Kind of comes out better. Alright, so we're gonna have some fun, guys. You guys are gonna get to hear some different amps today. And yeah, that's it, man. Merry Christmas.